Hello everyone, welcome back to Vedic Enigma. So I hope that all of you are doing great. And in this video, we will be talking about second lord through all the 12 houses. So we will specifically talk about the placement of your second lord in different houses. And I've already made a video on this in Hindi. So this was 6 months back. So you can check that video, out in the description box below. And this video is going to be in English. But before we start this video, we really have to understand that I don't know in your individual horoscopes, in your individual chart, the second lord could be placed in, for example, eighth house, and there could be other planets also situated in the eighth house, or there could be some other malefic aspects or positive aspects coming on the eighth house. So all of those things will also be have to be carefully examined before you make an accurate prediction about this particular yoga. But on the basis of just one placement of second lord in the eighth, we can still tell a lot of things about, the person's, wealth, the person's speech, the person's family, and what they actually value in their life. So all the second house significations, it shows that it's making a direct connection with the eighth house. So this is a yoga. When a particular planet is situated in a particular house because it is ruling certain houses in your horoscope, and those houses are getting connected with that house now. So suppose second lord, is in your 10th house. So there is a direct connection that is getting formed with, second house and 10th house. So those two houses are linked now in your chart. And whatever happens in one house will have a direct impact on the other. So like that, you can see and study, but definitely you have to look at the other planets also and what those planets signify. So, if we try to understand the second house, so we know that in the original Kalpurush Kundli, in which we make Aries the first house, so we see that the second house is ruled by the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by the planet Venus. And we also know that in this particular sign, Moon gets exalted. So we can understand that this house has a very strong natural energy of Moon and Venus, and it is naturally connected with wealth. It is connected with our family, with our speech, the kind of values we have and what are the things that we actually value in life. All the traditions, customs, rituals that are strongly connected with your own family. So all those things also you can see from the second house. And this is also the house of your speech, so the kind of voice you have and how sweet or melodious your voice is, or how harsh your words are to other people. So all those things can also be examined from the second house. And second house also represents your face. First house is also seen for your personality, your appearance, but second house is also examined to actually study the actual facial features, on your face. So these are like some of the things, and it also represents food. Food intake is a very big part of the second house. And we also see that it is a Artha house. There is a trine that gets formed, which is the 2, 6, and 10. This is a trine of the second house, sixth house, 10th house. So all these three houses are Artha houses, and they are strongly connected with wealth and money and sustenance. So all of these things are basically seen from the second house. So we definitely know that it is a pretty important house, especially in today's day and age, because we are living in a world that is very materialistic. So we have to, carefully examine the position, placement of the second lord and the planets that are situated in the second house. So now we will talk about the individual placement of, the lord of the second house, the planet that is controlling your second house, where it is going and getting situated in different houses. So let's start with the first house first. So we know that first house, whenever the second lord is in the first house, firstly, this is a natural dhan yoga that gets formed. Whenever the second house, fifth house, ninth house, 11th house, the ascendant gets connected in any way, dhan yogas get formed in the birth chart. And we also know that first house is the house which represents you yourself, your personality, your health, your longevity, everything that is connected with your entire life basically comes from the first house. So, and we also see that second house is a house of wealth. So it shows that your wealth and your earning capacity basically is coming from the first house, which is you yourself. So it shows that your appearance, your the way that you conduct yourself and the kind of grooming that you do on yourself will have a very strong impact on how much wealth you can have or accumulate in your life. So firstly, it shows that. And we also see that it shows that the person values a lot, gives a lot of importance to themselves, because second lord is also showing you the things that you value in, in your life. So it shows that it is connected with the first house. So you are always thinking and only thinking about yourself. You would want to spend the money also on yourself. So all those things are coming directly to you. And it also shows that such a person's family will have a very profound impact on their entire life, because second house is the house of family. So it shows that those are the things that are influencing you day in, day out. Now you would be wondering that, family is one aspect of everybody's life that has an impact on them. But if you have the second lord in the situated in the first house, family is going to have a very, very major impact. All the decisions that you take and how your entire life will get steered in which direction will be in a way decided by your family, or they will have a very strong influence on your decisions. That is something which is seen. And it also shows that it makes a person quite materialistic, generally, and they are quite fond of eating rich food. So they are food lovers to the core. And they also like to have a lot of ornaments or jewelry, things which are quite valuable, like which have a lot of assets, things which have a lot of high value. So those kind of things become very, very important, to the person. And if they don't get, suppose, good food, or if they're hungry for a very long period of time, it really, really starts impacting their health, their mood swings. Everything gets very, very like, they become very cranky when it comes to those things, and they are very picky and selective also with respect to those things. So all of these things we can see, but it definitely shows that, because originally second house is your controlling your wealth and earning capacity. So it shows that, the everything that is connected with your body, with your appearance, with your personality, and how basically you're conducting yourself, and how well you're taking care of your health also, will have a very strong influence on the second house. So if you improve the significations of the first house, like suppose you are more disciplined as a person, you are more routine oriented, and you take care of your health, and you take care of your grooming, your appearance. So your second house will also start improving. So this is a direct linkage which it shows in the chart. And but again, we don't know that in the first house, which all other planets are situated along with the second lord. So if there are more number of planets, then obviously the results will differ. And another thing you have to notice is that what does that planet signify? So suppose if you have Mercury situated, in the sign of Taurus, being the second lord. So it shows that all Mercury related significations will become very, very important. And they could even be people who could treat their friends, like their family. Because Mercury represents your friends, it represents your cousins, relatives. So all the people who are, in close vicinity with you. So those people become very, very valuable for them. So that is how. So this might not be the case if suppose Saturn is, controlling your second house, and it is situated in the sign of, suppose, Sagittarius in the first house. So it represents that work will be something that will be of value to you. So like this, you have to see according to different planets. But it definitely shows that in their entire life, wealth, money will play a very, very deep impact on their entire personality. It will shape how they view life, how they kind of make decisions in their life. So they are actually people who generally are quite money minded. They are very materialistic. They want the best of things for themselves. And also, like I mentioned, it makes a person a bit selfish because they like spending, on themselves. So this is about second lord in the first. So coming to the second house now, so we know that if the second lord is placed in the second house itself, so it shows firstly again that there is a very strong dhan yoga that is getting formed. And it shows that your second house is very powerful and strong in the chart because the planet is situated in the house itself, which is it is controlling. So you can even imagine it as like, if you're living in your own house, you're not living in a rented house. So it is your own house. So you are the boss of that house. And definitely it shows that the person can generate, can have a great amount of wealth through coming from their own family, because it shows that the source of wealth is in the second house itself. And definitely all the things now connected with the second house will have a very, very strong impact on the person's money. For example, their speech, the kind of choice of words that they are using. If they are If their speech is very harsh and if they do abuse a lot, for example, then they are damaging the second house very strongly. Similarly, the kind of food intake that they have and the kind of food that they eat, if they are eating a lot of junk food, a lot of food that is not good for the body, again, it will have a very strong impact on the money part and even on the family relations. For example, with this placement, like if especially if Mercury is involved or if it is under affliction, then you will see that because of your speech and because of your it could be miscommunication also, it could be not understanding the other person's point of view in the family, there could be major disagreements, difference of opinion with the family members. So if you start improving the second house with this, if you start improving your food habits, if you start improving the kind of speech that you're using, and if you have a very diplomatic kind of a speech, then it shows that you can make the second house behave in a better manner with this. And with this placement, it can even indicate that some people can have or be involved in a family business, so their wealth and, everything is coming from the family themselves. And it also shows for such a person, a family becomes a very core part of their, entire being. And they value family, they value relations a lot. So all the traditions, customs, and all those things also become very, very important for them in their entire life. So you can understand this placement by any particular house. If suppose your seventh house, seventh lord is in the seventh house itself, so it shows that it is making that particular house very powerful. And obviously, like that person now, your spouse will have a great impact on you. Similarly, if the second house is becoming very powerful, so it shows that family will again have a very strong influence on you, will impact the kind of decisions that you make in your life. So sometimes it happens that sometimes we want to do something in our life. We want to take, for example, a career stream. We want to go away from home, but family is not letting us, do that. So it is in those cases that you can see such combinations working that, people, because the family is so much heavy on them that they are not able to have a say. So those are the situations where you will see this happening. Similarly, if the second lord is also in the first house, in that case also this is a possibility that can happen. But definitely you have to see the planet, which is the planet here. Is it Mercury? Is it Saturn? Is it Jupiter? For example, if it's Jupiter, then, more like religious, morals, principles, ethics, all Jupiterian kind of things will, shape their values more. Their family could be very educated, could be very knowledgeable, could be very religious or spiritual. So all Jupiterian related things will become very profound in their family. And this could also be a family, who would want their children to maybe marry into their own culture, into their own community caste. So all those kind of things become very pronounced. If suppose you see that moon is, ruling the second house and, it is in the sign of Cancer and you are a Gemini ascendant. So it shows that all food related things, all home related things, emotions related things. So family is very emotionally driven, and all those moon related significations become very pronounced in the person's life. And it also shows the kind of family that you will have, like depending upon the planet, it shows the family would also resonate with those kind of values of that particular planet. Like, I told you about Jupiter, so it's all related to dharma, it's related to religion, spirituality. If suppose it is Mercury, then it shows a family who is very much into each other. They are very communicative, very talkative as a family, and they love traveling, so that could be a theme of the family, itself. So that is also something which you can see. And definitely planet to planet, your speech, the kind of voice you have will also depend a lot on that particular planet, because now that planet is very strong. So if it is Saturn, it could mean that you have a very serious kind of a speech. You could speak very slowly but very with a lot of depth. So if it is Mercury, it could be very fast paced communication, very talkative. It could even be very maybe nonsensical conversation also, so that also comes from Mercury. If it's Venus, so it could signify a very sweet voice. So like this, depending upon the planet, you can identify what are the kind of elements that would be there in your speech. So coming to the next house, which is the third house. So if suppose your second lord is situated in the third house, then what does it mean? So we know that third house is the house of your self efforts. It's the house of short distance traveling. It's the house of your cousins, your younger sibling. and it's a very active kind of a house, and we see that the sign of Gemini is present, so it shows that it has a very quick witted kind of a house. And there is a lot of skills that are there, which we see hands are represented from this house. So it literally shows you that your wealth, your money is basically coming through your self efforts. You will have to put in a lot of self efforts to accumulate money in your life. So firstly it shows that. Secondly, it also shows that with time, the more hard work this person does in their life, the more money they get, because it is literally the house of your hands. So you have to put in that hard work. You have to get a bit messy, to make money. And so it shows money is not coming very easily to them, but definitely because it is an Upacha house, it grows and gets better with time. But they need to be patient in their life. And this could also be one of the combinations where the person is involved in their own business, or they would want to do their own business at some point of time. Because again, it shows that they want to do something independent, like because third house also is the house which is connected with ideas. It's in a way connected with entrepreneurship also. So most people think that it's only the seventh house, which is, all about business, but third house also plays a very important role in making you a good entrepreneur. Because third house is ideas, it's that subconscious mind which makes you think. And, you have to use sometimes your common sense more. You have to use your mind more in doing business. So that is why, second and third connection is a very good connection to have if somebody wants to do their own business. But definitely, other combinations also need to be seen, including the seventh house placement. And it definitely shows a person's, definitely values third house related things a lot in their life. So they would value traveling, for example. They would value, hobbies, interests, doing something of which excites them. Because third house is a house which does not really represent things which are done in a monotonous manner. They are things that are exciting. For example, your hobbies, for example, traveling, trying out different things. So that Mercury energy is very active. So they always want to do something. They always want to make money from something which is exciting. If suppose with this placement they are fixed in a job which is very monotonous, which is very mundane, they would not even like making money from that job. Even if that job is paying them a lot, but they would still want to do something which is of their own interest, which makes them more curious, which keeps that spark alive in them. So this is seen with second lord in the third house. And we also see they could make money through speaking, like, public speaking, and through their communication, through their skills. Because so it could be any skill. Like, again, you have to see the planets here. If suppose you have the influence of Mars and Saturn coming more, you have malefic planets coming. So it shows more technical related skills. If you have soft planets like Venus, like Mercury, so it shows more soft skills like, it could even be like you could be a soft skills trainer also with this. You can even be someone who does dancing, singing. So all those things that are more creative in nature are basically seen from Venus and Mercury, including Moon also. So like this, you have to see the planet also, that which is that planet and what does that planet signify. So how can you use skills related to that planet to generate money? So for example, if it's Jupiter, then it shows more, you could use your intelligence, you could use your knowledge, your advising skills, your consulting skills, to make money. So that planet is also telling you about, your source of wealth, basically. And with this, it also shows that the person's family, could be very a family that has inculcated a lot of values of hard work in them. So they are not born in a family that tells them to be very complacent in life. That tells, they are born with a silver spoon. So it's not that kind of a family. Even if they are born in such a family, their family would still push them to work hard in life. Because those are the kind of values that family has inculcated in them, that you cannot be complacent in life. You have to keep going. You have to keep moving. So that is something they always have to be on the go. And it also shows that the more travel they do, in their life, the more variety they have in their life, the better their second house becomes. So they definitely have to move away from their home to make money. They definitely have to sacrifice a lot of things, like, because third house is, it is in a way the house of experimentation also, but it is also the house of self efforts. So you have to put in that hard work and sweat to make things happen. And we also see that their family could value, or their family could be fond of traveling a lot. They would have moved maybe different cities, they could have changed a lot of houses in their life. So that is the kind of family environment that they are born in, or the environment becomes like that, post their birth. So these are some of the things which are seen from second lord in the third house, but definitely you have to see the number of planets that are situated with the third, in the third house. Like if you have, for example, the ninth lord also coming, the 11th lord also coming. So now those planets and those houses will also have an impact, along with the second house. So that is how it needs to be studied. Lord in the fourth house. So we know that fourth house is the house originally ruled by the sign of Cancer, and Moon's energy is very prominent in this house. So it represents your home, it represents the place where you were born, your hometown, and it is everything connected with comfort, with peace, and it was also connected with vehicles. So with property, real estate. So all of these things, your mother also. So all of these things are seen from the fourth house. So if you have a connection of the second lord is going in the fourth house, firstly, it shows that these are the people who value their peace of mind, their comfort, their basically their mother. So all of fourth house related things value and matter a lot in their life. So they are the kind of people that for them, their wealth is literally this. Like if suppose, even if they are in any job and they are not having their peace of mind, and if they are not internally happy, then that money also does not matter to them. So for them, it is very clear that their peace of mind and their comfort comes first. So this is that kind of a placement. And it also shows that this person can generate their wealth, or their earning capacity is coming from the fourth house. So it could be through their mother, it could be through a home business, it could be through counseling, doing anything with property, real estate, dealing with cars, like vehicles and all. So all of those things are something which have a direct impact on the kind of money that they can have in their life. And it also shows that they are the kind of people who would value their home and their vehicle a lot. Like they could be prized possessions, that they would, it could be very, very close to them with their heart. So that is also seen with this placement. And with this, it also shows that they could be even involved in a job, which is, for example, remote job. They are working from home. So that could also be a possibility with this. But it definitely shows that with this placement, the kind of environment that they have at their home has a very direct impact on their wealth, on their second house. So if suppose they start improving the room, like if the room is quite messy, if they start improving the relation with their mother, if they do more service, towards the mother, towards their homeland, so the second house also starts improving and starts becoming better in their life. And with this placement, it can also show that the person, because second house is also your family and fourth house is also your home family. So it shows that there is a very direct linkage, of their wealth with their home environment. So if the home environment, suppose, is not very conducive, is not a very ideal, and they are not getting a lot of peace in their home, so maybe they should move out of their home. Like if suppose malefics are impacting this combination more, so that could be one suggestion that could be done. But if suppose you find that there are benefics, and there are no malefic aspects on this particular combination, then you can say that, okay, the person's wealth is actually coming directly from their home, and they should not leave their home in that case, So you have to see that whether there are malefics more or whether there are benefics more. So on the basis of that, you have to decide, because the yoga is such that it is telling you that, okay, the wealth is coming from the fourth house itself. But definitely the other placements also need to be seen, like if you have other planets in the fourth house along with the second lord, and what exactly those planets are telling you. Are they ruling malefic houses in the chart? Are they malefic planets themselves? So if you have more malefic combinations, like malefic aspects, malefic combinations, then this particular thing might not hold true, which I just said about that you should stay in your hometown or home country types. So like this, you have to see chart to chart. On the basis of that, it will differ. And we also see with this placement that they are the kind of people who should take care a lot of their vehicle also, like, of the car, or like anything that you could have, like a scooter, car, anything, which, so they should definitely keep it very clean, very tidy. So that is again a suggestion which will help to improve their second house more. So coming to the next house, which is the fifth house. So suppose you have the second lord placed in the fifth house. So what does it mean? So we know that fifth house is the house which is connected with relationships, which is connected with children. It is connected with knowledge. It is connected with your past life also. So these are the things which come under the domain of fifth house. So if your second and fifth are getting connected, so firstly, again, it shows that there is a dhan yoga that is getting formed in the chart. So this is one combination of a dhan yoga. Like if you have the first house, the ninth house, 11th house, second house, fifth house, connected in any way. So they all have that capacity to generate dhan yogas in the chart. And you will see that the time period in which this planet, runs in your life. So in that particular time period, you can get the results of this particular combination. But with this placement, it definitely shows that they are the kind of people who value education, knowledge a lot in their life. For them, degrees matter a lot. The kind of how much knowledgeable they are in their life gives them that, high in life to do well. And we also see with this that their family could influence and impact a lot, or would have a say in the kind of education stream they decide for themselves. So sometimes it happens that a child wants to do something, for example, very creative, something very different, but parents are not convinced. Family is not convinced. So family tells them that no, you have to do this particular thing only. You have to, study this particular stream only. So that could be possibility with this combination of second lord and fifth house. And it also shows that their wealth and their earning capacity is somewhere coming and linked with the fifth house. So fifth house is also a very creative house in that sense, but it's also the house of your knowledge. How much knowledgeable you are. So it shows that the greater amount of knowledge that they have in their life, the different variety of knowledge, awareness they have about things, would help them to generate wealth. So this is one of the combinations for that. And it also shows that their wealth will greatly be impacted with when children are born in their life. So childbirth has a very profound impact on their wealth. So I'm not here saying that whether wealth will go up or it will go down, because again, that has to be seen and looked with the individual chart. Like which planets are situated in the fifth house? Are there more malefic planets? Are there more benefic planets? Which other planets are connected with the second lord? So all of those things will, conducively decide this particular thing. But definitely shows that childbirth, especially with the start of a new relationship also, like, because love affair and love is also seen from the fifth house. So it shows that when that particular thing also starts, so that will also have a very significant impact on the family part, on their wealth. Sometimes it happens that when people start a first relationship, they start working. They start working, they start earning money, and a new relationship begins. So that could be a possibility with this. Or, they started like a new relationship and something happened in the family, like some major family event happened. So that could also be a possibility with this. And they are also the kind of people who value creativity, artistic things a lot. So those things are very important for them. And relationships are also very important for them. So if your second and fifth are connected, so they are not the kind of people who would, just not value relationships, not value love. So all of those things matter a lot to them. Their entertainment, the kind of things that they do to enjoy life. Enjoyment is very, very important for them. So if they are the kind of people who, even if suppose they have a job and like whatever their life is, and if they are not having time to enjoy, they are not able to do the activities or whatever they wanted to do. So they would feel very, very unhappy. Like they are not the people who can just work like a machine and not care about the enjoyment part, that leisure, that pleasure, that fun. It is very, very important for them. And it also shows that somewhere it is also important to their family also. So they could be born in a family who could have a lot of creative people, for example, in the family. Or family could also be very fond of clubbing, partying, hosting events, so family could also be very social in nature. So it can show that as well. And it also shows that in their relationships, their speech, the kind of words that they use matter a lot. So sometimes you will see with this placement that problems start happening in relationships because they don't know how to talk well. Like, so there is some problem that is happening with the communication, with the choice of words that they are using, or they want to say something else and it comes out as something else. So they are not very clear with how they have to communicate that message to their partner. So those kind of things you will see with this. And we also see that they are again the people who would want to spend a lot of money also, like, on enjoyment. So it could be any kind of enjoyment, but for them, like even if it's attending a concert, for example, and if they have to, like for example, go for bowling, so all of these kind of fun activities, and also they like doing that a lot. They like spending their money also a lot on these kind of things. And they could even spend their money on children, for example, on books, so all knowledge related things, also on their education. Because these are the things that they value so much that they don't mind spending their money also on these things. Versus someone who would not have this placement, they maybe would think twice whether they should spend their money on those things or not. But such a person will not, think so much. So this is seen from the second lord in the fifth house. So coming to the next house, which is second lord in the sixth house. So we know that sixth house is a house which is originally ruled by the sign of Virgo, and it is again an Artha house, and it is also an Upachya house. And we see that this is also the house which, in a way, is full of obstacles. It is a malefic house. It represents diseases. It represents debts, loans, anything related to conflicts, pets, and anything which is connected with messy problems, basically. So things which are again and again like bothering people, like, so again, problems. It is the house of problems. So when this combination is there, so firstly it shows that again, like I said in the second lord, in the third, video in the and that part as well, like it is because third house is the house of self efforts, and this is also the house of efforts, like you in sixth house you have to put in a lot of efforts. So you will see that to earn money, to generate wealth, this person will have to put in a lot of efforts. But that is the best part about this combination, that it gets better with time. The more efforts they actually put in, the better results they reap. So they may not reap it right now itself, but with time it grows, it gets much, much better. And we also see that somewhere their wealth and their source of money is basically coming from sixth house related things. So with this placement, I've seen like people who can be very good lawyers, because it shows that the money is coming from sixth house. They can be very good doctors, they can be healers, they can do anything which is connected with the sixth house. So it could even be, for example, someone having their own pet business, someone who is an Ayurvedic, I don't know, wellness, Ayurveda, wellness, organic things, all these kind of things which are very strongly connected with the sixth house. It can even show someone who can be a data analyst, for example, because sixth house is the sign of Virgo, so it shows precision, it shows diagnosis, it shows analyzing things, micro analyzing things. So, all that kind of work, if you are involved in doing, like even if you're doing a normal job, but your work involves a lot of editing, your work involves a lot of critiquing. So if you're using that Virgo energy, so it is actually a very good thing, because it shows that your source of money, wealth is coming from those things. And they are also the kind of people who value their health the most. So they for them health is wealth. Literally this is that combination, because second house is wealth and sixth house is health. So they are the people who would not mind spending their money on medicines, on wellness products, on weight loss, on all those kind of things related to the sixth house. So they would love doing that because they value that thing so, so much. And they are the kind of people who can even be, their family could also be, involved in something like this. Like that in their family, there could be a lawyer, there could be somebody who's a doctor, chartered accountant. So all like sixth house related things, they could have people involved in that. Or it shows that their family could, again, their family could also value health a lot. Or they could be if suppose there are malefic aspects on this, so there could be some diseased people, like diseases running in the family. So that could also be a possibility with this. But again, it depends on the individual chart and placement of other planets also. But that is a yoga that is getting formed. So in a way, it shows that also a lot of times, in their family, there could be certain arguments, certain miscommunication, or, like certain issues coming up because of communication, because, there are some conflicts that are continuously happening, or the family could also be in certain cases involved in some court cases, because sixth house is also court cases, it is house of litigation. So that is also a possibility with this, that their family could, be involved in those things. And it also shows that in a way that, that there is a lot of debt also that is there. Like there is a lot of karma. You can even call it like past life karma that comes into the picture with respect to their family. So they have to like do and pay off, a lot of things to their family also in this life. So this is a kind of things that you can expect from second lord in the sixth house. But again, you have to see that individual planet. What does that planet signify? Are there more number of planets also situated in the sixth house? So according to these things, results will differ. So let's talk about the next house now, which is the seventh house. So suppose your second lord is placed in the seventh house, then what does it mean? So we know that seventh house is the house of marriage. It's the house of business. It's the house of partnerships. So people who are coming in your life, like the general public. So that all is seen from the seventh house. So firstly, it shows that because there is a direct yoga that is getting formed with the seventh and the second. So it shows that the family's involvement will be very much there. Firstly, in the marriage, of the person, it could be that the person that they end up marrying, their family could bring that person to them, or their family will influence the decision a lot, on who they should marry. And so that is one thing which we see. And I have a chart in my mind, of a girl, and she has this placement of the second in the seventh house, and it is moon in her case. So moon is the second lord, and she's a Gemini ascendant, and it is placed in the sign of Sagittarius in the seventh house. So her family, in the sense that mother is very heavily involved in the marriage decision, and mother is, like suggesting boys for her. So that is seen because moon is mother, so family, mother, so all those things matter a lot to them. And she's the kind of person who, wants someone who matches her family. So these are the words that she has used, that someone who matches her family in terms of the status, in terms of the finances, everything. Because so again, these are the kind of things that are coming to the picture, because it shows that second house related things, your values, your traditions, customs, money, wealth, so all those things matter a lot to the person in the in marriage, because seventh house is marriage. And even if this person suppose wants to do business, in the business, in finding a business partner also, they would have a similar criteria. They would want to do something with someone who is very similar to their family and is similar to their values. So those things matter very, very much, to them. And it also shows it's a natural combination that when this person gets married, they could have a lot of wealth coming in, and a lot of things of the second house will get activated with the marriage. And they could even have a change, some transformation in their food habits, in the way that they speak and communicate with others. So, in terms of their values, also maybe what are the things that they kind of believe in, so all those things would also go in some kind of a change or transformation will happen when they get married. So that is also seen with this placement. And this is also one of the combinations which shows that they could be involved in doing some family business also. And their wealth is basically coming through either doing their own business, or they could be involved in a family business. So that is also a possibility with this particular combination. So depending upon which planet is actually placed in the seventh house, so will matter a lot, because it shows that, for example, a planet like Saturn, is placed. And we see that suppose Saturn is placed in the sign of Gemini in the seventh house, and it is ruling the sign of Capricorn, in your second house. So it shows that all Saturn related things with respect to family will become very important in their marriage. So they would want a person who is a very hardworking person who is very traditional, who is orthodox, conservative, is very rooted in their values, customs. So that kind of a person becomes more important, from a marriage point of view. Or they would want a person who is doing very well professionally, who is coming from a particular status, So those things matter because it is the planet Saturn. Suppose this was the planet, Jupiter, then we see that more, qualities related to their culture, community, caste. So all those things kind of matter more in the marriage. So like this, you can see from planet to planet that which other things that would matter them more. Like if it's Venus, then it is definitely wealth, it is definitely luxury, So all those things would matter a lot. They would want someone who matches their family in terms of these Venus related things. But it definitely shows that they are the kind of people who in the marriage itself, the kind of choice of words that they use, the kind of speech that they have would have a very profound impact, in the marriage itself. So like there are certain people whose marriage can actually last long because if they know how to speak well with the person, and if they know how to handle their second house, in a better manner, so their marriage could actually be very long lasting in those cases. But if suppose with this placement, if especially there are reflections, on this particular combination, then it shows that the person is maybe very harsh, and is very blunt with respect to their communication. And because of that, there could be problems in the marriage. So like this also, you can see that, what are the things that will create a very deep impact on the marriage itself and on the selection of spouse also. And we also see that seventh house is, the house of other people who generally like come in your life. So it shows that, with this placement, that the kind of people that they actually end up with, or the kind of people who keep coming in contact with also, are kind of like very similar to their own family also. So it is, you can say that this is a chance, and it's a coincidence that the kind of people that they end up meeting, it could be in college, it could be at workplace. So they end up like being like their family to them, like in some way, or they make them feel like they are similar to their family in certain way. And with this combination, we also see that they are the kind of people who value marriage a lot. Marriage is very important for them. They want a companion, they want, that partnership, that unionship. So they are not the people who would just disregard or, would say that it does not matter to me at all, unless and until malefics, are again impacting this particular combination. But generally, with displacement, we see that they are actually the people who are very much interested in making money through business and making like a good companion. They want a good companion with them, and marriage is something which definitely they value a lot in their life. So with second lord in the seventh house, another interesting thing which I've seen is that such people, s- the family in which they are born in, the family themselves, the people, they are very, very social, and they could be public figures also. They love hosting events. They love socializing with other people. They could have like their parents, in the family, or in the family themselves. There is a lot of like intermingling, of people. So that is also a possibility with second lord in the seventh house. So coming to the next house, which is the eighth house. So suppose your second lord is in the eighth house, then what does it mean? So we know that eighth house is a house of occult, it's a house of research, and it's a very transformative kind of a house. And it has that energy of Mars and Ketu in it. And we also know that Saturn is the Karak of the eighth house. So it is a very dark, dingy kind of a house. And we see that all kind of dark things, like connected with death, rebirth, rejuvenation, with mortuary, so all of those things come from the eighth house, and it's a very sudden house. So firstly, it shows that such people, especially when this yoga is activated, like when that time period comes of this particular planet, which is your second lord. So it shows that the person can expect sudden things happening in the family. So firstly, it shows that uh, things which will be beyond your control. You could not imagine what those things could be, but you will not be able to control those things. And it also shows that the person's family wealth could fluctuate a lot. So this could be a case where Maybe when this person was born, their family's financial condition was in a particular way, but over time it became a transformed 360 degrees transformation came in, and they became very rich. Or somebody who was very rich became very poor. So such kind of like major changes, major ups and downs are seen from the second lord in the eighth house. So again, whether that change would be up or down, again, it depends on your individual chart. And you cannot say that just because second lord is in the eighth house, so the person will be going from rags to riches or the other way around. So other combinations also need to be seen. You have to see which other planets are situated in the eighth house, where the dispositor is placed. So all those things will matter a lot. But it shows that there is a capacity that there could be sudden revival or there could be sudden transformation with respect to the person's wealth and with respect to the person's family. And it also shows that they are the kind of people that whatever they believe in, like whatever things that they value, also undergo a lot of transformation. So they are the kind of people who would be like, maybe 5 years back they valued something, like maybe they valued marriage a lot, and marriage was something which was a very very big thing for them. But maybe after 5 years something happened, something changed their experiences. Now they are the exact opposite of it. So those are the kind of things like, their value system, their belief system, and their family, so all of these things undergo major, major transformations. And with this placement, it is also a very good combination to have if suppose you want to make money from eighth house related things, because it shows that naturally God has given you a chart in which your second and eighth are connected. So they are the kind of people who can do very well in banking, in finance, in occult, astrology, psychology, anything connected with research, with Ketu related things, with mystical things, with healing related things. So all of these things, even with petroleum, oil and gas, with mining, so all those things that are done under the ground. So they can earn their money, they can generate money from those things. They could do business, those things, or in general, they could be maybe working. So suppose in an insurance company also, because eighth house is also insurance, or they're earning through other people's this money. So because eighth house is unearned wealth, it is also the house of inheritance. So they could get inheritance also with this placement. It's one of the combinations for that. So these are the kind of things you can expect. And definitely, they are also the kind of people whose eating habits you will see undergo major transformations. They are the kind of people who will start with maybe following one particular diet, but after 6 months, they'll leave it and they'll go to something very different. Or there are a lot of changes that happen in the eating habits, in the regime that they follow with respect to their food. Lot of major transformations you can expect. And with this, it also shows that they are the kind of people who are very deep speakers, in the sense that whatever they will speak, they speak with a lot of depth. There is a lot of intensity in it. There could also be some pessimism involved in it, especially if malefics are looking at this combination. So they are not people who are very, I would say, best motivators. They are not the people who are the best motivators, because they can give you maybe very realistic knowledge. Like this is what it is, you have to accept it, especially if like Saturn, Ketu, malefic planets are impacting this combination. So they would be very blunt, very straightforward with respect to their communication and speech. And it also shows that with this combination, they value again family a lot, like their own family, spouse's family. Like family is a very big part in their life, and they can be very deeply connected also with their own family. Like their family ties, relations matter a lot to them. So anything which happens in their family, it would affect them unconsciously a lot. And they are also the kind of people who are very greatly impacted by money. So they are actually very money minded with this combination. And money is something which can again, give rise to overthinking also. Like, they are the kind of people who would, if they are not earning that amount of money that they have in mind, they will start becoming crazy about it. They will start overthinking about it. And they will start becoming obsessed about it. So they value money also a lot, they value family a lot. So they want those things sorted in their life. So because if those things are not sorted, they can become the cause of worry for them. They can be fearful about those things, like what if I lose my money. So they're the kind of people who are very afraid of like the second house related things. Like they could be afraid of losing, suppose a family member, losing their money. So these things are they are very touchy when it comes to these kind of things. And it also shows that eighth house is the house of your in-laws, it's the house of your spouse's family. So they could also have, maybe doing some family business with the spouse's family. That could also be a possibility, or they're getting money from the spouse's family. So that is also one possibility with this. But again, these things have to be examined carefully with respect to other planets also that are, sitting in the eighth house or aspecting the eighth house, and where the dispositor is placed. So all of these things also need to be seen. Moving to the next house, which is the ninth house. So suppose your second lord is situated in the ninth house, then what does it mean? So we know that ninth house is the house of, higher learning. It's the house of the sign of Sagittarius, where Jupiter rules this house. Morals, principles, ethics, dharma, so all these things, very heavy, heavy things, come from the ninth house. And it is also the house of foreign traveling and, of pilgrimages, of temples, religion. So all these things come from the ninth house. So if second lord is in the ninth house, so firstly it shows that they are the kind of people who value foreign traveling, education, religion, temples, like all of these things matter a lot to them. And they father would also play a very important role in their life. Like they would value their father a lot, they would value their guru a lot. So they are the kind, like especially if there are no malefic aspects on this particular combination, so we can say that they are the kind of people who would, like whatever their guru, father, teacher says, they would keep a lot of high regard for them. And it also shows that they are the kind of people who can be very good motivators, who can be very good at, counseling people. So they can be involved in anything related to consulting, related to advising people. They can be very good psychologists. They can be very good motivation speakers. They can be very good coaches. So all of these things become very open for them. Also in terms of making money, because second house is also the house of your money and your wealth. So it shows that somewhere their wealth and money is also coming through maybe traveling a lot, like they could be consultant with this, or their money is also coming from the knowledge that they have. Because they have so much knowledge, that is why people are coming to them. They could even be lawyers with this, because ninth house is also the house of law, strategy, so they are actually, it is better suited for them if they are involved in a work which is higher level intellectual kind of a work. They could even be very good professors, in any university, teachers. So all of those professions are very good and well suited for them. And it also shows that their family, they could come from a family that is very religious, that values traveling a lot, that values learning, higher education a lot. So all of these things are actually very important pillars, in their own family. So that is also seen from this particular placement. But it definitely shows that, especially if this is under reflection, then they could have disagreements, arguments with their father, or they could have a nature to argue with their teachers, with their bosses, with their father, with their guru, if malefic planets are in this particular combination. So they would not listen, and they would argue and answer back. So that is also the thing which is seen with this placement. But it definitely shows that, when it comes to their wealth and earning capacity, the more actually they travel, and the better, their ninth house is actually strong, in that sense that they have solid principles in their life. They are very ethical, they are very moralistic, in their life. So it actually helps the second house to improve in their life. So that is also a possibility with this particular combination. So talking about the next combination now, that is second lord in the 10th house. So this is, my favorite combinations to have, because it clearly shows you that, the more hard work that you keep doing in your life, the more money you will earn. So it is literally a Saturn-like combination, what Saturn tells you to do, that if you want to earn money, so you have to, there is no shortcut to success, So this is literally that combination, that if you want the second house related things, if you want those luxuries in life, if you want those resources, that money, so you have to put in that hard work for it. You have to put in your hard work and sweat in that thing, because 10th house is the house which is ruled by the sign of Capricorn, and it's the sign which is ruled by the planet Saturn. So it shows you that, and it gets better with time. That is the beauty about this combination, that because 10th house is a very powerful house, it is an Upachya house. So any planet that is placed in this house will feel very powerful, and it will get very stronger and better with time. So, that is this, in very short, I've like told you about this combination. And it also shows that, 10th house is the house of your father's family. And it's also the house of your mother-in-law, because it is four places away from the seventh house. So it shows that the kind of relation that, if you have a very good relation with these people, so it shows that the second house would be very, it would promote the second house more. So your like wealth, your earning capacity, and the kind of money that you can accumulate in life will depend also on the kind of relations, like the type of relation you have with your mother-in-law and with your father's side of the family. And it also shows that these are the kind of people who can earn and make good money with their career, with their job, their, that they are doing, because it shows that 10th house is the house of your workplace, it's the house of your career, your job, and it's also the house of your karma. So the more karma that they keep doing in their life, the more they keep actually becoming very active outside. So with this combination, you should spend and exert more energy going out of the house rather than being at home. So this is that kind of combination which promotes you to be more social, which promotes you to shine and establish a particular level, status, recognition in the society. And that will only happen if you go out, you are dealing with the public, you are doing something in your workplace where you're getting recognized. So when that thing starts happening in their life, their second house also starts performing very well, and they start earning money, and they start generating good amount of wealth through their 10th house, because 10th house is the house of your karma. It is the house where there is no escape from hard work. You have to put in that hard work, you have to grind yourself. So it is actually one of those combinations, just like I mentioned, with second lord in the third house, second lord in the sixth house. So this is also that combination, one of the combination which shows that your money, your wealth will come through your own self efforts. So yourself are responsible for that. And it also shows that, with this combination, because second house is the house of family and 10th house is your career, your profession. So it shows that with this combination, your recognition, image, status in the society, like how people recognize you, is very much dependent upon your family. So these are the kind of people who would be like, oh, I know you because your father is so and so, or your family is so and so. So they will be known and they will be recognized in the society because of their family. So that could this is one of the combinations for that. And it also shows that the kind of career that they choose and decide for themselves would also be greatly influenced by their family. So their family values, it could be their family values, it could be the family themselves, are maybe pushing them to do a particular kind of a job and they want to do that. Or they don't want to do that, they still would have to do that. So that could also be a possibility, because it shows that family is influencing a lot, when it comes to their career. And it can also show that when it comes to doing their own job, again, their family could interfere also a lot in their job. Maybe due to the family, they are not able to succeed and do well at the workplace, or because of family, they had to make certain decisions in their career. So whatever decisions also they make when it comes to taking a job, when it comes to leaving a job, when it comes to deciding a particular career stream for themselves, it is greatly influenced and impacted by their family. Unconsciously, psychologically, that family thing would be there. Because of that, they would have to make that decision. If the family thing was not there, maybe they would have chosen something else for themselves. But because that family pressure was there, or that responsibility was there, or they had some commitments towards their family. So that is the reason why it happened. And this thing will be more pronounced when that particular planet's Mahadasha or Antardasha comes. Then you will see this thing working brilliantly. And it also shows that, they are the kind of people who could also have a very strong desire to, like, have good food at the workplace. Because so, like, if suppose they have good food and they have good lunch, they would be more motivated to work hard. So their kind of motivation or reinforcement to work hard, in their career and their job, comes from two things. From one is from money, and the second is from food. So one out of the two is definitely pushing them, reinforcing them that you have to put in that hard work. You have to do this job because you want good food for yourself or you want good money for yourself. So these are the things which will directly or indirectly impact their hard work also a lot in their life. So these are the kind of things that you can expect from second lord in the 10th house. And they could also be, generating their money or wealth through providing like jobs to people. Like they could even have a business or they could be involved in a job which is helping other people to get job or something related to career counseling. So something like that could also be a possibility with this combination. Moving to the next house, which is the 11th house. So, suppose your second lord is in the 11th house, and what does it mean? So, firstly, again, this is a Dhan Yoga that gets formed. So, anytime your first house, 11th house, fifth house, ninth house, second house are connected in any way, so it is a natural Dhan Yoga that gets formed. And you will see this thing working when the time period of that planet comes. But generally, it shows that if you look at this 11th house, it is the house which is ruled by Saturn and it is co-ruled by Rahu. So there is a lot of desire, there's a lot of ambition, drive in this house. And it's a house of growth also. It's a house where you have to fulfill your wishes, you have to get what you want in life. And so it actually goes hand in hand with the 10th house also. 10th house is the house of your efforts, your hard work, and 11th house is the house of your gains. And it is also the house of your incoming wealth. So when this particular combination happens, so firstly it shows that they are the kind of people who would have a lot of big desires in life. Like they would want to get all the luxuries, all the materialistic things, and everything like best, they want in their life. And that thing keeps on increasing with time. It never gets reduced, it only increases with time. So it's very difficult for this kind of a person to become very satisfied very easily. So it's the other kind of people who keep pushing themselves forward because they want more and more in life. And especially you will see that if you have planets like Rahu, Venus, Mercury connected with this particular combination, then this tendency will be even higher in them. And it also shows that their source of wealth, their source of money is actually coming from the 11th house. So it can come through their elder sibling, if they have any. It could come through their friends, their network circle. So they're the kind of people, the more that they socialize with people, the more outgoing they are, the more they attend parties and events and concerts and conferences and all 11th house related things, the better their second house becomes actually. So their wealth capacity, their income starts improving, starts becoming better when they utilize the 11th house energy more. So such people like one, word of suggestion for them would be they should network as much as they can. They should not be living in a silo. So they should go out, they should show their face to people, they should meet people because 11th house is the house of connecting, networking with people. So that is very important if they want to improve their second house. And it also shows that if suppose they can even get a lot of benefits and help money also through their friends. So sometimes it happens that one of your friends is in a very dire, state and they want some funds and money, and other people help them. Their friends only come and help them. So this is also a combination which supports that, especially if you have Mercury also involved with this combination. So it can definitely show that. But again, it should not be under affliction. It should not be with Mars. It should not be with Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. So all these malefic planets will definitely destroy that potential, but benefic planets will promote and support that. And it also shows that they are the kind of people whose family would also push them to do better in life. Like they are the kind of family, they are born in a family that again wants the best of things for themselves. So it is not a family who gets satisfied very easily with things. It's a family that wants to grow, get better with time, elevate their status, and get all the best things in life. So because of that, family also has that mindset. So family also pushes them to earn more money, to do well in life. So that is a kind of reinforcement that they keep hearing even when they were maybe small, in age. So that is also the thing which is seen from second lord in the 11th house. Now, suppose you find that this particular, combination is afflicted and you have malefics influencing it, then it can also show that certain miscommunication or certain conflicts can happen with their friend circle, with their elder sibling, like with 11th house people, because of their choice of words and because they wanted to say something else, but it came out as something else. So because of the communication and the way that they are speaking, they can often be misunderstood, in their network circle. So that can also be a possibility with this. And with this combination, we also see that they are the kind of people who value their friends a lot. Like for them, their friends could be like very close, and they could be like their family only. Because second house is the house of family, 11th house is the house of friends, network circle. So those things are very, very close to them. And they could even be going to any extent to help their friends a lot. So that is also a possibility with this combination. And we also see that 11th house is also three places away from the ninth house. So ninth house is the house of your father. And third from there, it is showing your father's is younger sibling. So if your father has a younger sibling, so 11th house signifies that person also. So your wealth or your income generation could also happen through that person. So that is also a possibility with this. And the more that their father travels in their life, the more their father shifts places. So their 11th house also becomes better and activated with that event. So these are all the things from second lord in the 11th house. Moving to the last house, which is the 12th house. So suppose you have your second lord in the 12th house, and what does it mean? So firstly, this is a very normal like combination, of someone who likes to spend their money a lot. A lot of high expenses, spending on things. So again, on what exactly the person will spend, you have to see the planet. You have to see which other planets are situated in the 12th house along with that. So on all of those things, the person would love spending money. Like for example, if it is moon, it is on food. If it is Venus, it could be on clothes, it could be on luxury items, all those things. If suppose you have Rahu there, it could be on foreign traveling, on foreign related things. If you have Saturn, then it could be on your work, on your career, things related to the job itself, like you want to spend money on those things. So, like this, you have to see that which planet is placed in there. But definitely shows that their source of wealth and income is also somewhere coming from the 12th house. So 12th house is the house of foreign land, so it can be a direct combination of someone who is earning their wealth and is settled in a foreign country and is earning through that. Or even if they're sitting in their own country, but they're doing something work related to maybe logistics, maybe export, import, export, something where that their business is connected with foreign, so that could be a possibility with this of second lord in the 12th house. And it also shows with this combination that the more that they donate, the more that they give away things to people, the better their second house becomes, the better their wealth and income capacity and all that second house related things start improving when they don't care about those things so much, when they are detached from their wealth, when they donate and they don't really care about those things. That is the time when they actually start becoming very rich, and they start getting more wealth. So this is also one of the combinations for that. And it also shows that if they want to have their peace of mind with respect to family, if they want to have good relations with the family, they have to move out of their home, and they have to settle maybe in a isolated place, far away place, foreign place. So all those things come into the picture with this combination. And it also shows their family could be quite spiritual in nature. Their family could be settled in a foreign country or living away from them. And it also shows it's a family that again does not really care so much about money part so much. They have a family that could also believe a lot in charity and donations and helping people. So that is also a possibility. Or family could even be involved in helping people in the sense that they could be doctors. There could be doctors in the family, or they themselves could be doctors with this combination, because 12th house is also hospitals. So it shows that their wealth is coming through those sources. But definitely with this combination, you will see that especially it can also indicate that there could be high expenditure that is there in their family. Like, I don't know which kind of family setup it is, but the family has something which there is some very big expense that happens. Like it's a recurring expense, and a lot of money of the entire family goes on that particular thing. So that could also be a possibility with second lord in the 12th house. And it shows that they are the kind of people who value spirituality, moksha, living foreign countries a lot. Like family could also be quite obsessed with foreign countries. Like I have a chart running in my mind, and it's a Virgo ascendant with the sign of Libra is there in the second house, and Venus is in the 12th house with Leo. So it's a male chart, and this person's family was obsessed about moving to a foreign place. The family themselves wanted to shift abroad. So it shows that the family is actually valuing a lot about the 12th house things. And the person himself also believes and does a lot of charity work, does a lot of donations, helping people, is very spiritual. So because second and 12th are connected, so you will see this thing happening. And their expenses can also shoot up a lot. They'll not be able to control their expenses, especially if you see that Jupiter is also Rahu is, aspecting or conjunct with this placement. So they could have high expenses. So these are the things which come into the picture with second lord in the 12th house. But definitely, like when they actually stop caring about so much about the second house things, that is when they actually feel more better in their life. They feel there is a greater sense of peace, contentment that comes, when they actually give away things more rather than take things more. So this is a pattern which you will see with second lord in the 12th house. And it also shows that they are the kind of people who value their isolation, solitude a lot. They are not the people who would want to socialize a lot with people. Like their real wealth is actually when they are in sync with their own self, when they are at peace with their own self, and when nobody is actually bothering them. And even such people, for them, sleep is also something which they value a lot. For them, even more than money, it is sleep. Like if they get good, night sleep, it is like wealth for them. Because 12th house is also the house of your sleep. And bed pleasures are also seen from the 12th house, so they could value those things also a lot. So these are all the things which we see with this combination. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you learned something new from this. And if you have any doubts regarding your placements, you can ask that in the comment section. So thank you so much and see you all the next time.